Once upon a time, there was a powerful king named Zahhak, whose reign was filled with darkness and fear. Zahhak was once a kind ruler, but his heart became corrupted by an evil force. A devil in disguise appeared to him and promised him eternal power if he killed his father and seized the throne. Zahhak, seduced by the devil's lies, did just that. However, the devil cursed him with serpents that grew from his shoulders, demanding that every day 2 young men must be sacrificed to feed the serpent's hunger for human brains. Zahhak's cruelty spread far and wide, turning the once beautiful land into a place of sorrow. As the people suffered under Zahhak's reign, a prophecy began to spread across Persia. It was said that a great hero would rise to defeat Zahhak and restore peace to the land. This hero's name was Fereydun, and his birth was marked by the signs of destiny. Fereydun's mother, knowing of the prophecy, kept him hidden from Zahhak's evil rule. She ensured he was trained in wisdom and strength, preparing him for the day he would rise to defeat the tyrant. As Fereydun grew older, he became known as a brave and noble prince. Though Zahhak ruled over Persia with an iron fist, Fereydun was raised in secret, hidden away from the tyrant's gaze. His mother told him of his destiny and the evil Zahhak had brought upon the land. Fereydun knew that one day he would need to rise up and confront the monster who had destroyed so many lives. As the years passed, whispers of Fereydun's potential to overthrow Zahhak grew louder. The people, desperate for freedom, began to believe in the prophecy that foretold the downfall of the tyrant. Fereydun, feeling the weight of this destiny, gathered a small band of followers and set out on a dangerous journey to challenge Zahhak. He knew the road would be perilous, but he was determined to end Zahhak's reign of terror once and for all. Fereydun and his army traveled through forests, across deserts, and over mountains. The land was darkened by Zahhak's cruelty, and the people they met along the way were filled with sorrow. Despite the hardships they faced, Fereydun's resolve only grew stronger. He knew he had to reach Zahhak and put an end to his reign. Along the way, he learned of the great powers Zahhak possessed, including the serpents on his shoulders. But Fereydun remained unafraid. Fereydun finally arrived at Zahhak's palace, where a great battle awaited. Zahhak, filled with anger at the challenge, summoned his dark powers. The serpents on his shoulders hissed and lashed out, their venomous eyes filled with malice. Fereydun, holding his sword, stood tall and ready. The battle between good and evil had begun. As the clash of steel rang out, Fereydun fought with all his might, determined to save his people. The fight between Fereydun and Zahhak was fierce. Zahhak, enraged by Fereydun's bravery, unleashed all of his dark magic. The serpents hissed louder and struck with deadly force. But Fereydun's heart was strong, and with every strike, he grew closer to victory. The battle seemed endless, and the earth trembled with the force of their blows. Fereydun knew that only one of them could leave this fight alive. In the heat of battle, Fereydun found an opening. With one powerful strike, he knocked Zahhak to the ground, his serpents writhing in agony. Zahhak let out a scream, but it was too late. Fereydun's sword had pierced the tyrant's heart, and his reign of terror came to an end. The evil serpents on Zahhak's shoulders fell to the ground, lifeless. Fereydun had done it. He had defeated Zahhak. News of Zahhak's defeat spread like wildfire throughout the land. The people rejoiced, throwing celebrations and singing songs of Fereydun's bravery. The land, once filled with darkness and fear, was now bathed in the light of hope. Fereydun was hailed as a hero, and his name was forever etched in the hearts of the people. After the grand celebration, Fereydun stood alone in the palace, looking out over the land he had freed. Though the people sang his praises, he felt a weight upon his heart. His victory over Zahhak had been important, but Fereydun knew the peace was fragile. There would always be new dangers, new evil forces that might rise to threaten the land. One night, as he stood by the window, an old man approached him. He was bent with age, his eyes wise and kind. "Do you feel it, Fereydun?" the old man asked. "The quiet before the storm?" Fereydun turned to face him. "What do you mean?" The old man smiled, though his face was grave. "You have won a great victory, yes, but evil never rests for long. You may have defeated Zahhak, but the shadow of darkness will always seek a way back into the world. You must remain vigilant." Fereydun nodded, realizing the truth in the old man's words. Being a hero didn't just mean fighting one battle, it was a lifetime of standing up against the forces of evil, no matter how hard the journey. Months passed after Zahhak's fall, and the land began to heal. The people were hopeful again, but Fereydun knew it wasn't over. Rumors spread that another force of darkness was stirring in the far corners of the earth. A mysterious figure, known only as the Shadow King, had begun gathering an army, determined to revive the power Zahhak had lost. Fereydun's heart sank as he heard these whispers. Could it be true? Was the land of Persia destined for more suffering? He gathered his closest allies and set out once more, determined to stop this new threat before it could grow. But the journey would not be easy. The Shadow King's power was said to be even darker and more dangerous than Zahhak's. Fereydun and his allies traveled far from the land they knew, through forests filled with eerie whispers and over mountains that touched the sky. Along the way, they met wise sages, fierce warriors, and mysterious creatures, all of whom warned them of the Shadow King's growing influence. In a hidden cave deep within the mountains, Fereydun met an old sorcerer who spoke of a powerful artifact known as the Lightstone. It was said to have the power to defeat any dark force. "The Lightstone can banish the Shadow King," the sorcerer said, his voice trembling, "but it is not easy to find. It lies beyond the River of Tears, in the Cave of Eternal Night." Fereydun knew what he had to do. He would face even greater dangers than before, but the Lightstone was their only hope. Fereydun and his army traveled through strange lands, and soon they arrived at the River of Tears, a wide, fast-flowing river that no one dared cross. Legend said that anyone who tried would be overwhelmed by sadness and despair. But Fereydun, driven by hope, knew he had no choice. The river's waters were dark and turbulent, and the sky seemed to weep with the weight of old sorrows. As Fereydun stepped closer, he felt the sadness creeping into his heart, like an old wound reopening. He remembered all the people he had lost along the way, the fallen warriors, the innocent lives taken by Zahhak's reign. But Fereydun was stronger than the sadness. He pressed on, his heart steady with determination. With each step, he led his army across the river, pulling them from the grip of despair. At last, they reached the other side, but Fereydun knew the hardest part of their journey was still ahead. The Cave of Eternal Night was just as terrifying as the legends had said. A dark shadow seemed to hang over it, and the air was cold, making Fereydun's breath visible in the air. Inside the cave, the light seemed to disappear. The only sound was the echo of their footsteps as they ventured deeper into the darkness. Fereydun felt a chill run down his spine, but he did not hesitate. He knew that in the heart of the cave lay the Lightstone, and he would stop at nothing to find it. Suddenly, from the shadows, a voice echoed, "So you have come for the Lightstone. Do you think you are worthy, Fereydun?" It was a familiar voice, Zahhak's voice, but Zahhak was gone. Or was he? Fereydun looked around, but there was no sign of the tyrant. "You cannot defeat the Shadow King alone," the voice whispered. "You will fail, just like your father did." Fereydun clenched his fists, anger rising in his chest. "I will never fail. I will protect my people." With renewed strength, Fereydun pressed forward, determined to find the Lightstone no matter the cost. After what seemed like hours, Fereydun and his allies reached the heart of the cave. There, glowing in the center, was the Lightstone, a brilliant, shining gem that radiated warmth and hope. As Fereydun reached out and touched it, a wave of energy filled his body. It was as though the light of the sun had entered him, pushing away the darkness and filling him with power. He felt the weight of his mission to bring justice, to protect the people, to defeat the evil that had taken so much from him. He knew now that he could defeat the Shadow King. But as he held the Lightstone, something strange happened. A vision appeared before him. Zahhak, his serpent still alive, rising from the depths of the earth, seeking revenge. The true test was yet to come. When Fereydun returned to the land of Persia with the Lightstone, he was met by his people's cheers. But he knew the final battle was upon him. The Shadow King had risen, and with him a new army of darkness. The battle would decide the fate of Persia and all who lived there. Fereydun, holding the Lightstone high, gathered his army for the final confrontation. The Shadow King was waiting, his eyes glowing with malice. The clash of armies filled the air, and the ground shook with the violence of the battle. But Fereydun had the Lightstone, and with it, the power to defeat the Shadow King once and for all. The earth trembled as Fereydun and the Shadow King faced each other. The air crackled with dark energy, and the Lightstone pulsed with an intense glow. Fereydun held his sword high, its blade shining with the power of the Lightstone. The Shadow King lunged forward, but Fereydun was faster. With a mighty swing, he struck the Shadow King down. The ground erupted with light, banishing the darkness once and for all. With the defeat of the Shadow King, peace was restored to the land. The people of Persia rejoiced, for they were free once again. The darkness that had plagued them for so long was gone. Fereydun, now a true hero, knew that his journey had come to an end. But he also knew that the world would always need heroes, and he would continue to protect the land and its people. The legend of Fereydun would live on, a tale of bravery, strength, and hope for generations to come. Fereydun's name became a symbol of hope throughout Persia. Statues were erected in his honor, and the stories of his bravery were passed down through the generations. He was remembered not only for his strength, but for his unwavering courage and love for his people. And though his life would eventually come to an end, his legacy would never fade. The story of Fereydun and Zahhak became one of the most cherished tales in Persian folklore. Years passed, and Fereydun's reign was marked by peace and prosperity. The people of Persia flourished under his rule, and the land healed from the wounds of the past. But as all things must come to an end, so too did Fereydun's time on earth. Before his death, he passed on his wisdom to his sons, teaching them the values of justice, compassion, and the importance of protecting the people. As he lay on his deathbed, surrounded by his loved ones, he knew that his legacy would live on in their hearts. And so, Fereydun's journey ended, but his story would never be forgotten. The legend of the hero who defeated Zahhak and brought peace to Persia would be told for centuries to come.